Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Alhamdulillahirabbil alamin wa bihi nasta'inu ala umuri dunya waddin wa ala alihi wa sahbihi ajmain. Amma ba'du. Good morning, master and other happy friends. First of all, let us say thanks to Allah Subhanahu wa Ta'ala, who has given mercy so that we can gather in this virtual space. Let me introduce myself. My name is Hilmi Lutfiah Muslim, who will be the moderator in the discussion of fiqh material. The members of my group are Mr. Asman Cheha, Fauzan Izzuddin Ismat, and Hanifah Humaira Zahra. Alright friends, let's just start from the first session, which is the opening. Before that, let's say Basmalah together. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Next to deliver the material, the reader of the first material is myself. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Definition and sources of Islamic jurisprudence. 1. Islamic jurisprudence definition. In terms of morphology, the word fiqh comes from the word faqiha yafqahu fiqhan, which means to understand or understanding. So that word of fiqh gives an understanding of Sharia law which is highly recommended by Allah and His Messenger. 2. Sources of Islamic jurisprudence. There are 4 agreed sources of fiqh arguments, namely the Quran, the Sunnah of Prophet, Ijma, and Qiyas. Next, I invite Fauzan to read the next material, please.
Okay, thank you in advance to the moderator who has given me time to explain the material. Okay, here I will explain the material, the scope of jurisprudence in Islam. The scope contained in the science of fiqh is all laws in the form of amaliyah, to be practiced by every mukallaf, people who have been born or given the responsibility of carrying out Islamic Sharia teaching with saying sets of balik, intelligence, or has converted to Islam. The law regulates in Islam jurisprudence consists of obligatory, sunnah, permissible, makruh, and haram laws. Next slide. Okay. Besides that, there are also other forms such as valid, void, true, false, and so on. The object of the discussion of the science of jurisprudence is the law relating to the action of the mukallaf people, namely people who have reached puberty and have right and obligation. The scope of mentioned above includes: number 1, law related the relationship between humans and their Khaliq Allah Subhanahu wa Ta'ala. These laws are related to the of worship. And number 2, laws related to muamalat, namely laws that regulate human relation with each other both personally and both in the financial transaction. And number 3, the laws of munakaha, marriage. This is often also referred to as family law, al-ahwal as-shakhsiyah. This law regulates humans in the family from the beginning of information. Number 4, jinayah law or civil law. namely the law that's been humans to everyday life in the nation and state. Okay, next slide. Then, Dr. Mustafa Az-Zarqa, Mr. Mustafa Az-Zarqa, in the book Islamic Law and Social Institution, written by Dede Roshada, divide the study of Islamic jurisprudence into 6 areas, namely is number 1, legal profession relating to the field of ubudiyah, such as prayer, fasting, and pilgrimage. Number 2, legal profession relating to family life, such as marriage, divorce, maintenance, and lineage profession. This is the Kalat Ahwal Ash-Shakhsiyah. Number 3, legal profession relating to social relation between Muslim in the context of economic relation and service. Examples include buying and selling, leasing and pawning. This field in called fiqh muamalah. Number 4, legal profession relating to section for criminal acts. For example, qiyas, diyat, and hudud. This field is called fiqh jinayah. Legal profession. Number 5, legal profession governing the relationship of citizen with their government. This discussion is called fiqh siyasa. And the last, number 6, legal professions governing the ethic of association between a Muslim and other in the order of social life. This filed in called ahkam khuluqiyah. Okay. I have finished explaining the material for me. The rest I will return to the moderator.
Thanks to Fauzan for reading the material. And next, I invite Mr. Asmin to read the next material, please.
Thank you to moderator. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. General rules of Islamic jurisprudence. There are 5. Number 1, everything depends on the intent of the door. Number 2, belief cannot be dispelled by doubt. 3, difficulty can bring or attract is. 5, the harm must be eliminated. Custom can be used as legal reference. Thank you.
Thanks to Mr. Asmin for reading the material. The last, I invite Hanifa to read the next material, please.
Okay, thanks to the moderator who have given me the opportunity to explain implementation of Islamic jurisprudence in social life. Okay, for implementation, the first rule, all affairs depend on the intention. Intention is using electronic card. Istinbat is carried out the validity of financial transaction using electronic card. The Al-Quran and Sunnah do not regulate this in detail, but there are muamalah basic that can be used as tools in making new rules through ijtihad effort. So, in this case, the ijtihad efforts are trying to accommodate interest of Muslim in financial transaction using cards do the times that allow for payment. Using cards, ijtihad is carried out solely for the benefit of Muslim in transaction, not because of sponsorship order from banks or their parties, because of intention to make it easier for Muslims to transact, and as long as there are no similarities in ilat in the Quran and Sunnah, and they do not conflict with the two main sources. So we never mind to using electronic card for payment because nothing conflict with the two main sources. For the second implementation rule, fight cannot be erased or eliminated by DAP. The etymological meaning of belief is a sign that there is no longer any doubt in it. In another sense, it can be interpreted to know for sure and clearly about the truth. So I think to avoid hoax, yeah. Okay, for the third rule, everything difficulty will give birth to unease. This rule is used by the Fuqaha to solve various problems and determine the law. That in formulating the law, it should not to be burdensome. Okay, for the fourth rule, the harm or danger must be eliminated, which is meant by damage here is not only external damage or physical damage, but more than that damage also includes moral, mindset, and mental damage. Okay, for the implementation, the last rule, the fifth rule, custom are strengthened. What is meant by custom here is a habit or urf that can be accepted by a healthy character and is done repeatedly. In this case, if a habit does not conflict with the text contained in Quran and Sunnah, then this custom can be done and does not need to be contradicted again. Okay, I think just at all what I can say. Sorry for all my mistake. I return to moderator.
Okay, thanks to Hanifa for reading the material. And this is the presentation of our group. As a moderator, I apologize for the shortcomings. Wallahul muwaffiq ila aqwamit thoriq. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.